The neon sign above Murphy's bar flickers twice before dying completely, plunging the entrance into shadow. I barely notice. My feet ache, my lower back throbs, and I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and gas station coffee that tastes like liquid regret. But the tips tonight were good, really good, and that means I can actually pay the electricity bill this month without choosing between that and groceries. Small victories. I push through the heavy wooden door, and the familiar smell of beer, fried food, and decades of cigarette smoke hits me. Murphy's isn't fancy. The floor's perpetually sticky, the booths have duct tape holding the vinyl together, and the jukebox only plays songs from before I was born. But it's close to my apartment. The bartender lets me sit in the corner booth for hours nursing a single drink, and nobody bothers me here. Tonight, I just need to decompress. 10 hours on my feet serving entitled customers at Giovanni's, the upscale Italian restaurant downtown, has left me wrung out. My manager, Patricia, spent the entire shift breathing down my neck because I accidentally gave table 12 the wrong wine. A $40 mistake that she'll probably dock from my paycheck even though the customers didn't complain. I slide into my usual booth in the back corner, the one with a clear view of both the entrance and the emergency exit. Old habits from living with Marcus. Always know your exits. Always have an escape route. Rough night, Ava? Tommy calls from behind the bar. He's worked here for 20 years, has a gray beard that makes him look like a biker Santa, and remembers everyone's drink order. The usual kind of rough. I call back, managing a tired smile. Vodka tonic when you get a chance? If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. He nods and starts making my drink. The bar's about half full tonight, typical for a Thursday. A group of construction workers occupies the pool table in the back, their laughter punctuating the low murmur of conversation. A couple sits at the bar, leaning into each other like they're the only people in the world. And scattered throughout are the regulars, the men and women who come here to forget whatever they need to forget. I close my eyes for just a moment, letting the ambient noise wash over me. Tomorrow I have the morning shift at the diner, then the evening shift at Giovanni's again. 16 hours on my feet. The math is simple and brutal. I need both jobs to cover rent, utilities, student loans, and the money I send my sister every month for my niece's medical expenses. Livy's only 7, and her leukemia treatments cost more than I make in 6 months. But we're managing. Barely, but we're managing. Ava Torres? The voice makes me open my eyes. A man stands beside my booth, mid-30s, expensive leather jacket, cologne that probably costs more than my rent. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Do I know you? I ask, my internal alarm system immediately activating. Something about him screams wrong. Not yet. But you will. He slides into the booth across from me without invitation. I'm Derek. I'm a friend of Marcus. My blood runs cold. Marcus, my ex-boyfriend. The man I fled from 8 months ago in the middle of the night with nothing but a duffel bag and my grandmother's necklace. The man who put his hands around my throat the last time I tried to leave, who told me I'd never get away from him, that I was his property. I don't know anyone named Marcus. I say, my voice steadier than I feel. You've got the wrong person. Derek's smile widens. Come on, Ava, don't be like that. Marcus misses you. He wants to talk. I have nothing to say to him. I start to slide out of the booth, but Derek's hand shoots out, gripping my wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make his point. He's not asking, sweetheart. He's been looking for you for months. And now that we've found you, she said no. The voice comes from behind Derek, low and controlled, with an edge that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Derek's grip on my wrist loosens slightly as he turns to look at whoever interrupted. I follow his gaze. The man standing behind Derek is tall, at least 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that looks like it was carved from marble. Sharp jawline, straight nose, and eyes so dark they're almost black. He wears a charcoal suit that fits him like a second skin, the kind of tailoring that costs thousands of dollars. Everything about him screams money and power, and danger. This doesn't concern you, Derek says, but I notice his voice has lost some of its cockiness. You're in my bar, harassing a woman who clearly wants you to leave. That concerns me. The dark-eyed man's voice remains calm, conversational almost, but there's steel underneath. Your bar? Derek laughs, but it sounds forced. Murphy doesn't. I own the building. Murphy pays me rent. So yes, My bar. He takes a step closer. Now take your hand off the woman and leave. Derek's fingers tighten on my wrist for a moment. A flash of defiance, and I see the dark-eyed man's jaw clench. Something passes between them, some unspoken communication that I don't understand, but that makes Derek suddenly release me and stand up. This isn't over, Derek says to me, then looks at the stranger. Marcus won't be happy about this interference. Marcus can take it up with me personally. The dark-eyed man hands Derek a business card. Dante Russo. Tell him I'm easy to find. Derek takes the card, studies it for a moment, and I watch his face go pale. Whatever he sees there changes something fundamental in his demeanor. He backs away from our booth like he's just realized he's in a cage with a predator. I'll tell him, Derek mutters, then turns and practically runs for the door. The bar has gone quiet. I notice that Tommy's hand is under the counter where he keeps the baseball bat. The construction workers have stopped playing pool, watching with the alertness of men who recognize when violence might erupt. Even the couple at the bar has turned to watch. Dante Russo, if that's really his name, looks down at me, and for the first time, I see his expression soften slightly. Are you all right? I nod, not trusting my voice yet. My wrist throbs where Derek grabbed me, and my heart is racing, but I'm okay. More than okay, I'm free to leave, which wouldn't have been the case if this man hadn't intervened. Thank you. I manage finally. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. He gestures to the booth. May I? I should say no. Everything about this man screams danger, different danger than Marcus, but danger nonetheless. But he just saved me from Derek, and I'm curious about why Derek looked so terrified when he saw that business card. Sure. He slides into the booth with fluid grace, and Tommy appears almost instantly with my vodka tonic and a glass of what looks like expensive whiskey for Dante. On the house, Mr. Russo? Tommy says respectfully, with a deference I've never heard in his voice before. Thank you, Tommy. Dante takes a sip, his eyes never leaving my face. You come here often? A few times a week. It's close to my apartment. I wrap my hands around my glass, using the cold condensation to ground myself. What about you? I've never seen you here before. I own several properties in this neighborhood. I like to check on them periodically. His lips curve in something that's almost a smile. Though I usually don't encounter beautiful women being harassed by stalkers. Beautiful. The word makes me uncomfortable. Marcus used to call me beautiful right before he'd tell me what I was wearing wrong, or how I'd embarrassed him, or why I deserved whatever punishment he'd decided on. He's not a stalker. He works for my ex-boyfriend. The words slip out before I can stop them. I don't know why I'm telling this stranger the truth. Dante's expression darkens. The Marcus he mentioned? I nod, taking a long drink of my vodka tonic. And you left him? 8 months ago. I meet his eyes, daring him to judge. I should have left sooner. Something flickers in those dark eyes, understanding, maybe, or respect. Leaving takes courage, especially when you know they'll come looking. The way he says it makes me think he's not just talking about romantic relationships. This man knows something about people who come looking for those who leave. Who are you really? I ask. Because that guy looked terrified when he saw your name. Dante takes another sip of his whiskey, considering how much to tell me. I'm a businessman. I own properties, restaurants, various enterprises throughout the city. That's not why he was scared. His smile grows, genuine this time. No, it's not. He leans forward slightly. I have a reputation, Ava. People in certain circles know that crossing me is inadvisable. Ava. He knows my name. Derek said it, of course. But the way Dante says it feels different, like he's tasting it, testing how it sounds in his mouth. What kind of reputation? The kind that makes men like Derek run away very quickly. He studies me over his glass. The kind that will make Marcus think twice before sending anyone else to bother you. I should be terrified. This man is clearly dangerous, clearly involved in something that makes Derek, who works for Marcus, who's violent and controlling, afraid. But instead, I feel something else, something like relief. Why did you help me? I ask quietly. You don't know me. Dante is silent for a long moment, his eyes searching my face as if he's trying to solve a puzzle. Because you looked like you needed help. And because... He stops, seems to reconsider what he was going to say. Because no one should have to deal with men like that alone. Before I can respond, the door to Murphy's slams open hard enough to make the hinges scream. 4 men walk in big, muscular, with the swagger of people who expect others to move out of their way. I recognize the one in front immediately, Marcus. My ex-boyfriend looks exactly the same as the night I left. 6'2", 200 pounds of muscle, blonde hair, cut military short, blue eyes that can shift from charming to cold in a heartbeat. He's wearing his usual uniform tight black t-shirt that shows off his physique, jeans, boots. His eyes scan the bar until they lock onto me. Then they shift to Dante, and his expression hardens. "There you are, baby," Marcus says, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent bar. "I've been looking everywhere for you." Every muscle in my body tenses. I want to run, to hide, to disappear. But I'm trapped in this booth with Dante Russo between me and the exit. Dante doesn't turn around. He simply sets down his whiskey glass with deliberate care and says, "You must be Marcus, and you must be the guy who's got his hands on my girlfriend." Marcus takes a step closer, his friends fanning out behind him. The construction workers have abandoned their pool game entirely, melting toward the back exit. The couple at the bar has grabbed their coats. Tommy's hand is definitely on the bat now. "She's not your girlfriend," Dante says, his voice still calm. "She's not your anything. She left you." "That means it's over." Marcus laughs, but it's an ugly sound. "Is that what she told you?" "Ava, baby, don't lie to the nice man. Tell him how you get confused sometimes, how you run away when things get rough, but you always come back." "I'm not coming back," I say, my voice shaking but determined. "I told you that last time. We're done, Marcus." His eyes flash with anger and I see his hands curl into fists. I know those fists intimately. I know exactly how much damage they can do. "You don't get to decide that," Marcus snarls. "You belong to me, Ava. You're mine. And I'm taking you home right now." He starts toward our booth, and I feel panic rising in my throat. But Dante stands up, and suddenly he's between Marcus and me, his body language relaxed but somehow utterly threatening. "She's not going anywhere with you," Dante says quietly. "In fact, you're going to turn around and leave. All 4 of you." Marcus stops, then laughs again. "Oh yeah? And who's gonna make me? You?" "Look, rich boy, I don't know what Ava told you, but she's a liar. She's a manipulative little—" Finish that sentence. Dante interrupts, his voice dropping even lower. "And you'll regret it." The temperature in the bar seems to drop 10 degrees. Marcus's friends exchange glances, uncertain. Even Marcus seems to hesitate, though he tries to hide it with more bravado. "There's 4 of us and 1 of you," Marcus points out. "I don't think you understand the math here." "The math," Dante says, "is that you're standing in my bar, threatening a woman under my protection." With approximately 30 seconds before 12 of my men arrive from the building next door, he pulls out his phone, glances at it. "Make that 20 seconds. "Bullshit," Marcus says, but he sounds less certain. 15 seconds. "You want to wait and find out?" Marcus looks at me, his expression a mixture of anger and something else, calculation maybe. He's weighing his options, trying to decide if pushing this is worth whatever consequences might come from fighting this well-dressed stranger. "This isn't over, Ava," he finally says. "You can't hide behind your rich boyfriend forever. I'll find you when he's not around, and then we're going to have a long talk about respect and loyalty." 10 seconds, Dante says, checking his phone again. Marcus's jaw clenches, but he jerks his head toward the door. His friends look relieved as they turn to follow him out. At the door, Marcus looks back one more time. "See you soon, baby." Then they're gone. The bar stays silent for several long moments. Then Tommy lets out a breath and removes his hand from under the counter. The construction workers start talking in low voices. The couple at the bar pays their tab and leaves quickly. Dante sits back down across from me, picks up his whiskey, and takes a sip as if nothing happened. I'm shaking. "He's going to come back," I whisper. "He meant it. He'll wait until you're not around and he'll—" My voice breaks. "He'll hurt me. Or worse." Dante's eyes meet mine, and what I see there makes my breath catch. Not pity, not even sympathy. Something harder, more dangerous. Promise. "No," he says simply. "He won't. You don't understand. Marcus is a bully who's used to terrorizing people smaller than him. He's used to women who have no protection, no resources, no way out." Dante leans forward, his voice intense but not threatening. "But you're not alone anymore, Ava. And Marcus is about to learn a very important lesson about consequences." I stare at him, trying to parent, understand what he's offering. Protection? From a stranger I just met? A stranger who's clearly dangerous himself? Why? I ask again. Why would you do this for me? Dante is quiet for a long moment, studying me with those dark, unfathomable eyes. Then he says something I don't expect. Because 8 years ago, my sister had a boyfriend like Marcus. A man who convinced her she was worthless, who isolated her from family, who put his hands on her whenever she disagreed with him. His jaw tightens. I didn't know until it was too late. By the time I found out, she'd already... He stops, takes a breath. She didn't survive him, Ava. And I've spent every day since wishing someone had stepped in sooner. The raw pain in his voice makes my chest ache. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be safe. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a business card, the same one he gave Derek. This is my number. You call me if Marcus or anyone he sends comes near you again. Day or night, it doesn't matter. You call me. I take the card with trembling fingers. The name embossed on it is simple. Dante Russo, followed by a phone number. No company name, no title, nothing else. I can't pay you for protection, I say quietly. I work 2 jobs just to make rent. I don't have money for... I don't want your money. He stands up, straightens his jacket. I want you safe. That's payment enough. He's walking away before I can respond, moving toward the door with that same fluid grace. At the exit, he pauses and looks back. Go home, Ava. Lock your doors. And if anything at all feels wrong, you call that number. Then he's gone, leaving me alone in my booth with a lukewarm vodka tonic and a business card that feels heavier than it should. Tommy appears at my table. You okay, kid? I nod, not trusting my voice. That's Dante Russo, Tommy says quietly. Word of advice? Whatever he tells you to do, you do it. He's not a man to cross, but he's also not a man who breaks his word. If he said he'd protect you, he will. Who is he really? I ask. What does he do? Tommy's expression becomes carefully neutral. He's a businessman. Owns half the neighborhood, plus restaurants, clubs, other things. He's got connections, the kind of connections that make problems disappear. The implication in his voice is clear. Dante Russo isn't just a wealthy businessman. He's connected to something darker, something that operates in the shadows. I should be terrified. Instead, all I feel is exhausted, relief. I finish my drink, leave money on the table for Tommy, and head out into the night. The street is quiet, the neon signs of closed businesses casting pools of colored light on the wet pavement. It must have rained while I was inside. My apartment is only 3 blocks away, but I clutch my keys between my fingers the way I learned from that self-defense class I took after leaving Marcus. Every shadow seems threatening. Every sound makes me jump. When I finally make it home and lock the door behind me, deadbolt and chain both engaged, I lean against the wood and let out a shaky breath. On my refrigerator, held by a magnet shaped like a sunflower, is a photo of my niece Livy. She's smiling despite being in a hospital bed, her bald head covered by a bright pink beanie I knitted for her. She's been in remission for 3 months now, but the medical bills keep coming. That's why I work 2 jobs. That's why I can't afford to lose either one. That's why I can't afford to run again, to start over somewhere new where Marcus can't find me. I need to stay, which means I need protection. I look at the business card Dante gave me, running my thumb over the embossed lettering. Dante Russo, a dangerous man who owns buildings and has connections, a man who makes other dangerous men run away, a man who lost his sister to violence and won't let it happen again. I set the card on my kitchen counter where I'll see it every morning and wonder what price I'll eventually have to pay for his protection, because men like Dante Russo don't help people out of pure altruism. There's always a cost. But right now, with Marcus's threats still ringing in my ears, with the memory of Derek's hand on my wrist still fresh, I don't care about the cost. I just want to survive. The morning after the incident at Murphy's, I wake up to 17 missed calls from numbers I don't recognize, and 3 voicemails that are all Marcus, each one progressively angrier. I delete them without listening all the way through. His voice alone is enough to make my stomach twist with anxiety. I'm scheduled at the diner for the morning shift, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., then I have exactly 90 minutes before I need to be at Giovanni's for the dinner rush. The math of my life, calculated in hours and minutes, and the constant exhaustion that comes from never having enough of either. The diner, Rosie's, sits on the corner of 5th and Mitchell, a relic from the 1950s with red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floors, and a jukebox that only plays doo-wop. The owner, Rosie herself, is 73 years old, stands 4'11", and runs the place with an iron fist and a surprisingly filthy mouth. "You look like hell." She greets me as I tie my apron on. Her gray hair is pulled into its usual tight bun, and she's already got flour on her cheek from making the morning biscuits. "Thanks, Rosie. You really know how to make a girl feel special." She swats me with her dish towel. "I'm serious, Ava. You got circles under your eyes dark enough to be bruises. You sleeping?" "Enough," I lie, grabbing my order pad and heading to the counter. The morning regulars are already filtering in construction workers getting coffee before their shifts, elderly couples who've been coming here for decades, a few college students nursing hangovers. The shift passes in the usual blur of orders and refills, and the delicate dance of remembering who wants their eggs, how, and which. Customers tip well enough to deserve the extra smile. By noon, my feet are already aching, and I've got a coffee stain on my uniform that won't come out. I'm clearing table 6 when the bell over the door chimes. I glance up automatically and freeze. Dante Russo walks in, looking completely out of place in his immaculate navy suit among the diner's working-class clientele. Behind him are 2 men. One is massive, easily 6'5", with shoulders like a linebacker, and the other is leaner but moves with the coiled readiness of a fighter. Every head in the diner turns. Rosie actually stops mid-order, her pen hovering over her notepad. Dante's eyes scan the room until they find me. Something in his expression softens almost imperceptibly, and he makes his way to the counter, sliding onto one of the red vinyl stools. "Ava," he says, like we're old friends. Like he didn't just walk into my workplace with what are clearly bodyguards. "How are you this morning?" I glance around nervously. Rosie is watching with obvious curiosity, and the construction workers at the corner booth are whispering to each other. Everyone can tell this man doesn't belong here, which means everyone is trying to figure out why he's here. "I'm fine," I say quietly, setting down the plates I was carrying. "What are you doing here?" "Having breakfast. I hear the pancakes are excellent." He picks up a menu, studies it with apparent genuine interest. "What do you recommend?" "Mr. Russo. Dante, please." "Dante," I correct, keeping my voice low. "You can't just show up at my work. People are staring." "Let them stare." He sets down the menu. "I'll have the buttermilk pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon crispy, not chewy, and coffee." Black. The 2 men with him settle into a booth by the window with a clear view of both the entrance and the kitchen. The big one orders enough food for 3 people. The lean one just asks for coffee and continues scanning the room like he's expecting an attack. I put in Dante's order and try to go about my business, but I'm acutely aware of his presence. He sits at the counter, occasionally checking his phone, completely at ease despite the attention he's drawing. When I bring his food, he thanks me with a smile that does something inconvenient to my heart rate. "You're making a scene," I whisper as I refill his coffee. "I'm having breakfast at a diner." His eyes meet mine, dark and intense. "Is that a crime?" "You know what I mean. Marcus hasn't tried to contact you, has he?" The question catches me off guard. "How did you—" "Because if he had, you would have called me." He takes a bite of bacon, nods approvingly. "This is good. You were right about the food here." I never said anything about the food here. Which means he asked around about me, found out where I work, probably found out a lot more than that. "Are you having me followed?" I ask, the thought making my skin crawl despite the fact that he saved me last night. "Protected," he corrects gently. "There's a difference. Marco," he gestures to the massive man by the window, "has been parked outside your apartment building since 3 a.m. He'll follow you to your next job. Make sure you get there safely." My hand tightens on the coffee pot. "I didn't ask for that." "No, but you need it." His expression becomes serious. "Marcus isn't going to just give up, Ava. Men like him don't. They escalate. So either you let me help you, or you take your chances alone. Your choice." It's not really a choice, and we both know it. I saw Marcus's face last night, the rage in his eyes when Dante stepped between us. He will come back, and when he does, I'll need someone like Dante Russo to stop him. "Okay," I say finally, hating how small my voice sounds. "Thank you." Dante's expression softens. "You don't have to thank me for basic human decency, Ava. But it's not basic human decency. It's so much more than that. It's protection I can't afford, from a man I barely know, for reasons I don't fully understand. He finishes his breakfast, leaves a tip that's 3 times the cost of the meal, and stands to leave. At the door, he pauses. Marco will be outside Giovanni's tonight. You won't see him, but he'll be there. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you text me. He holds up his phone. I already added my number to your contacts. How did you... But he's already gone, the door swinging shut behind him. I pull out my phone and sure enough, there's a new contact. Dante. With a little crown emoji next to his name. Despite everything, the confusion, the fear, the uncertainty about what I've gotten myself into, I find myself smiling. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The next 3 days follow the same pattern. Dante shows up at Rosie's every morning for breakfast. He always sits at the counter, always orders something different, always leaves an extravagant tip. He makes small talk, asks about my day, tells me funny stories about his various properties, never pushes for personal information I'm not ready to share. And Marco is always there, a massive silent presence in the booth by the window. At first, Rosie is suspicious. What's a guy like that want with you? She asks on day 2, eyeing Dante through the kitchen window. He's just a customer. Customers don't bring bodyguards to diners, honey. But by day 4, even Rosie has warmed to him. He compliments her biscuits, asks for her recipes, treats her with genuine respect that wins her over despite her initial wariness. The other waitresses are less subtle. Oh my God, Ava, who is that? Miranda breathes on day 3, practically drooling as she watches Dante read something on his phone. And please tell me he's single because I would climb that man like a tree. He's just a friend, I say. But the words feel wrong in my mouth. Dante isn't a friend. He's something else entirely. Protector, enigma, danger wrapped in expensive suits. At night, I work at Giovanni's, and true to his word, Marco is always somewhere nearby. I never see him, but I feel safer knowing he's there. Marcus hasn't shown up again, and Derek hasn't tried to approach me. Whatever reputation Dante has, it's keeping them at bay. On the 5th night, everything changes. I'm closing at Giovanni's, it's nearly midnight, and I'm exhausted down to my bones. Patricia left an hour ago, leaving me to finish the side work and lock up. I'm in the back, counting out my tips, when I hear the front door open. We're closed. I call out, not looking up. Kitchen's shut down. Footsteps approach, measured and deliberate. Something in the sound makes me look up, and my blood turns to ice. Marcus stands in the doorway to the kitchen, and he's not alone. Derek is with him, along with 2 other men I don't recognize. All 4 of them are blocking the only exit. Hello, baby, Marcus says, and his smile is the one I learned to fear, the one that means he's going to hurt me. We need to talk. I back up instinctively, my hand reaching for my phone. Get out, Marcus. This is private property. I'll call the police. Go ahead. Call them. He takes a step closer. By the time they get here, we'll be long gone. And so will you. Dante will. Dante isn't here, is he? Marcus's smile widens. I've been watching you, Ava, learning your patterns. That big guy, Marco? He's usually out front, watching the entrance. He doesn't cover the back alley. He pulls something from his pocket, a knife, the blade catching the fluorescent lights. Now, you can come with us quietly, or we can do this the hard way. Your choice. Panic floods through me. He's right, Marco is out front. There's no one else here. The restaurant is empty, the street outside quiet. I'm alone with 4 men and a locked back door that leads to an alley. My phone is in my hand. I manage to unlock it, to pull up Dante's contact, to hit the call button before Marcus lunges forward and slaps it out of my grip. It skitters across the tile floor, and I hear Dante's voice. Ava? Before Marcus crushes it under his boot. The hard way, then, Marcus says, and nods to his friends. They come at me. I grab the first thing I can reach, a heavy cast-iron skillet hanging on the wall, and swing it at Derek's head. It connects with a sickening thud, and he drops like a stone. The other 2 hesitate, surprised that I'm fighting back. Marcus isn't surprised. He's angry. You stupid bitch! He snarls, coming at me with the knife. I dodge, but there's nowhere to go. The kitchen is too small, too enclosed. One of the other men grabs my arm, and I scream, loud and long, praying someone on the street will hear me. The knife flashes toward my face. I jerk back, and the blade catches my cheek instead of my throat, a line of fire opening up just below my eye. Blood streams down my face, hot and wet. I'm gonna die here. In this kitchen, alone. And then the world explodes. The back door, the one I thought was locked, crashes inward with a sound like thunder. Marco fills the doorway, and behind him are 3 more men, all dressed in black, all moving with lethal purpose. What happens next takes maybe 30 seconds, but feels like an eternity. Marco moves with shocking speed for someone his size. He grabs the man holding my arm and throws him, literally throws him across the kitchen. The man hits the industrial refrigerator hard enough to dent it and slides down, unconscious. The other 2 try to run. They don't make it 3 steps before Marco's friends intercept them. There's a brief, brutal struggle, and then they're on the ground, groaning. Marcus still has the knife. He's backing toward the front of the restaurant, his eyes wild, calculating his chances, and then Dante walks in through the front door. He's not running, he's not shouting. He simply walks in, his suit jacket open, his expression absolutely calm. But there's something in his eyes, something cold and merciless, that makes Marcus freeze. "Put down the knife," Dante says, his voice conversational. "Fuck you," Marcus spits. "She's mine. She's always been mine. And..." He doesn't finish the sentence. Dante moves so fast I almost don't see it. One moment Marcus is holding the knife, the next he's on his knees, his arm bent at an unnatural angle, the knife clattering to the floor. Dante's hand is on the back of Marcus's neck, holding him down with what looks like minimal effort. "She," Dante says softly, "is not yours. She's not anyone's. She's a person, Marcus. A human being with the right to live her life free from men like you." He increases the pressure slightly, and Marcus whimpers. "Do you understand?" Marcus nods frantically. "Good. Because I'm going to explain something to you very carefully. Are you listening?" Another nod. "If you ever, and I mean ever, come near Ava again, I will make you disappear. Not quickly, not cleanly. You'll simply cease to exist, and no one will ever find enough of you to bury. The same goes for Derek, and these other idiots you brought with you." Dante's voice never rises above a conversational tone, which somehow makes the threat even more terrifying. "You're going to leave this city tonight. You're going to go somewhere far away and start a new life where you never think about Ava Torres again. Because if I hear you've even spoken her name, I'll consider our agreement void. Do we have an understanding?" "Yes," Marcus gasps. "Yes, I understand. Excellent." Dante releases him and steps back, wiping his hands on a handkerchief as if he's just touched something unclean. "Marco, please escort these gentlemen to their transportation. Make sure they understand the gravity of their situation." Marco nods, and he and his men haul Marcus and his friends out through the back door. I hear a van start up in the Brie alley, and then the sound fades into the distance. And then it's just Dante and me in the trashed kitchen. "Ava," he says, and suddenly he's in front of me, his hands gentle on my shoulders. "You're bleeding." I touch my cheek, and my fingers come away red. The cut is still streaming blood, and now that the adrenaline is fading, it hurts. "A lot. It's not that bad," I say, but my voice shakes. "It needs stitches." He pulls out his phone, speaks rapidly in Italian to someone. Then he's guiding me toward the front door, his arm around my waist like he's afraid I'll collapse. Maybe I will. My legs feel unsteady, and there's a rushing sound in my ears. "I killed your phone," I say stupidly. "Marcus broke it." "Phones can be replaced." "You can't." His jaw is tight, and when I look up at his face, I see fury there. "Not at me for me. When I heard you scream." He cuts himself off, shakes his head. "You're safe now. That's all that matters." A black car pulls up to the curb, and Dante helps me into the back seat. He slides in beside me, immediately pressing his handkerchief against my bleeding cheek. "Where are we going?" I ask. "My doctor." He's discreet. At my expression, he adds, "You can't go to an emergency room with a knife wound without filing a police report. Trust me, you don't want that complication." I nod, too tired to argue. My uniform is covered in blood, mine and Derek's from when I hit him with the skillet. My hands are shaking. The reality of what almost happened is crashing over me in waves. Marcus had a knife. He was going to kill me or take me or both. If Dante hadn't come, hey, Dante's free hand finds mine, squeezes gently. Stay with me, Ava. Don't go there. You're safe. How did you know? I whisper. How did you get there so fast? You called me. The line stayed open after Marcus broke your phone. I heard everything. His jaw clenches again. We were already on our way. Marco had noticed Derek watching the restaurant earlier and called me. We were 2 minutes out when you called. 2 minutes. That's how close I came to being taken. The doctor's office turns out to be in a brownstone in an upscale neighborhood. We're ushered in through a side entrance, and an older man with kind eyes and steady hands examines my cheek under bright lights. You're lucky, he says in accented English. It's not deep. 7 stitches should do it. The scar will be minimal if you keep it clean. He works quickly and efficiently, numbing the area before stitching. Dante holds my hand through the whole thing, his thumb rubbing gentle circles on my palm. When it's done, the doctor applies a bandage and hands me a prescription. For the pain and to prevent infection. Fill this tonight if possible. He looks at Dante. She should rest. No work for a few days. I can't miss work. I protest. I need both my jobs. I'll handle it, Dante says firmly. Your jobs will be there when you're ready. In the car again, I lean back against the leather seat and close my eyes. Exhaustion is pulling at me, making everything feel distant and dreamlike. Where do you live? Dante asks gently. I give him my address, then add, but you already know that, don't you? Yes. He doesn't apologize for it. But I wanted to hear it from you. When we pull up to my building, a shabby 3-story walk-up in a neighborhood that's gentrifying but hasn't quite gotten there yet, Dante studies it with an expression I can't read. This is where you live? I bristle at his tone. It's what I can afford. I'm not judging, Ava. I'm calculating. He turns to me. Marcus knows where you live. Even if he's leaving town, he might have told others. This building has no security, no doorman, no cameras. You're not safe here. I can't afford anywhere else. I know. He's quiet for a moment, then says, Come stay at my house. I stare at him. What? I have plenty of room. More security than you can imagine. You'd have your own space, your own bathroom, complete privacy. He holds up a hand before I can protest. Not as my girlfriend or anything with expectations attached. Just as someone under my protection. Until we're certain Marcus is really gone, and you're safe. Every instinct I have is screaming that this is a bad idea. That accepting Dante Russo's protection, moving into his house, letting him deeper into my life, is dangerous in ways that have nothing to do with Marcus. But the thought of going back to my apartment alone, of lying awake all night listening for footsteps in the hallway, of wondering if Marcus will come back. Okay, I hear myself say. But just until I'm sure he's really gone. A few days, maybe a week. Something flashes in Dante's eyes, satisfaction, maybe, or relief. A few days, he agrees, but something in his tone suggests he's already planning for longer. We drive back to my building just long enough for me to pack a bag under Marco's watchful presence. I throw in clothes, toiletries, the photo of Livy from my fridge. The whole time, my hands are shaking. What am I doing? Moving in with a man I barely know? A man who's clearly dangerous, who's connected to things I don't understand. But when I think about staying here, alone, vulnerable, there's no choice. Not really. Dante's house turns out to be in the historic district, a massive 3-story Victorian that's been impeccably restored. Wrought iron gates, a circular driveway, gardens that probably require a full-time groundskeeper. It's beautiful and intimidating in equal measure. Inside is all dark wood and leather, expensive artwork, furniture that looks antique but comfortable. A woman in her 60s greets us in the foyer. She introduces herself as Rosa, the housekeeper. Your room is ready, Miss Torres, Rosa says warmly. Mr. Russo called ahead. I've put fresh towels in your bathroom and turned down your bed. She leads me up a grand staircase to the 2nd floor, down a hallway lined with more artwork, to a bedroom that's bigger than my entire apartment. 4-poster bed with cream-colored linens, a sitting area with a fireplace, French doors that open onto a balcony overlooking the gardens. The attached bathroom has a clawfoot tub, a separate shower, and more counter space than I've ever had in my life. If you need anything, Rosa says, anything at all, just press the button by the bed. I'm usually here until 9 p.m., but Mr. Russo is always available. When she leaves, I sink onto the edge of the bed and finally let myself cry. Everything from the past week crashes over me, the terror of Derek's grip on my wrist, the threat in Marcus's eyes, the feel of the knife cutting my cheek, the certain knowledge that I was about to die. And underneath it all, the confusing reality of Dante Russo, who saved me, who protected me, who brought me to his home, and expects nothing in return. I don't hear the door open, but suddenly Dante is there, kneeling in front of me, his hands gentle on my knees. "It's okay," he says softly. "You're safe here, Ava. I promise you're safe." I look into his dark eyes, searching for the dangerous man I know he is, but all I see is genuine concern. Gentleness. Something that looks almost like tenderness. "Why?" I whisper. "Why are you doing all this for me?" He reaches up, carefully avoiding my bandaged cheek, and tucks a strand of hair behind my ear. "Because," he says simply, "when I look at you, I see my sister. I see every woman who's ever been hurt by a man who claimed to love her. And I see a chance to do what I couldn't do for her." His thumb brushes across my jaw, featherlight. "Because you deserve to be protected, to be safe, to be treasured." The word treasured does something to my heart, makes it skip and stutter in my chest. "I don't even know you," I say, but it feels like a lie. Somehow, in the space of 5 days, Dante Russo has become the most important person in my life. "Then get to know me." He stands, holds out his hand. "You're exhausted. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll talk, and you can ask me anything you want." I take his hand, let him help me to my feet. At the door, he pauses. "Good night, Ava. Good night, Dante." When he's gone, I lock the door and lean against it, my heart racing for reasons that have nothing to do with fear. What have I gotten myself into? The next morning, I wake up disoriented. The bed is too soft, the room too big, the silence too complete. For a moment, I panic, thinking I'm back with Marcus. That last night was a dream, and I'm still trapped. But then I see the bandage on my cheek in the mirror, feel the ache from the stitches, and remember where I am. Dante Russo's house. Under his protection, I shower, carefully keeping my face dry, and dress in jeans and a sweater. When I venture downstairs, following the smell of coffee, I find Dante in what appears to be his study, bent over a desk covered in papers. He looks up as I enter, and his expression softens. "How are you feeling?" "Sore. Confused." I gesture to the opulent room around us, like I'm in someone else's life. He sets down his pen. "Come sit. I'll make you breakfast. You cook?" His smile is unexpected and charming. "I have many talents you haven't discovered yet." The kitchen is a chef's dream, commercial-grade appliances, marble countertops, copper pots hanging from a rack. Dante moves through it with easy familiarity, cracking eggs into a pan, slicing tomatoes and fresh mozzarella, toasting bread. "My grandmother taught me," he says, catching me watching. "She said any man who couldn't feed himself was half a man." She sounds like she was formidable. She was. He plates the eggs, a perfect Italian frittata, and sets it in front of me with espresso. She's also the one who taught me that protecting people was the highest honor, that strength without purpose was just violence. I take a bite, and it's delicious. "She'd be proud of what you've become?" Something complicated crosses his face. "Some parts. Other parts." He shakes his head. "Let's just say I haven't always lived up to her ideals." "Because of what you do?" I ask carefully. "The business that makes men like Marcus afraid?" Dante leans against the counter, studying me. "You want the truth?" "Yes. I run several legitimate businesses, restaurants, real estate, a construction company, but I also have connections to organizations that operate outside the law. I facilitate certain transactions, provide certain services, make certain problems disappear." His eyes never leave my face. "Does that frighten you?" It should. But sitting here in his kitchen, eating the breakfast he made, looking at the gentleness in his eyes when he watches me, "No," I say honestly. "It doesn't." "It should," he says softly. "The world I live in, Ava, it's dangerous. People get hurt. Sometimes they die. And the things I've done," he stops, shakes his head. "I'm not a good man. You saved my life. That doesn't make me good. It makes me useful." I set down my fork, meet his eyes. "I think you're more than that. I think you're a man who lost someone he loved and refuses to let it happen again. I think you're dangerous when you need to be, but gentle when it matters. And I pause, gathering courage. I think I'm safer with you than I've been in years. Dante is silent for a long moment. Then he moves closer, stands in front of me, his hand coming up to gently trace the edge of my bandage. I won't let anyone hurt you again, he says, and it sounds like a vow. As long as you're with me, you're untouchable. The intensity in his voice, in his eyes, makes it hard to breathe. How long can I stay? I whisper. His thumb brushes across my lower lip, the gesture achingly intimate. As long as you want, he says. Forever, if you'll have me. Forever. The word hangs between us, heavy with promise and possibility and danger. And despite every logical reason to run, to protect my heart, to maintain distance, all I want is to stay. 3 weeks pass in a strange, suspended reality. I call Rosie and explain that I need time off for a family emergency. She grumbles but agrees, tells me my job will be there when I'm ready. Giovanni's is less understanding until Dante makes a phone call, and suddenly Patricia is sending me texts assuring me my position is secure and to take all the time I need. What did you say to them? I ask Dante one morning over breakfast. He shrugs, elegant even in a simple black t-shirt and jeans. That you were recovering from an assault and would be pursuing legal action if they terminated you for taking medical leave. He sips his espresso. Also that I'm considering investing in the restaurant and would hate to discover they treat their employees poorly. You're not actually considering investing in Giovanni's. His smile is enigmatic, aren't I? Living with Dante is nothing like I expected. He's gone most days, attending to his various businesses, taking meetings in his study with men who arrive in expensive cars and leave looking either satisfied or nervous. But when he's home, he's completely present. We eat dinner together every night. Sometimes Rosa cooks, sometimes Dante does. Occasionally I attempt something and he gently guides me through techniques I never learned. We talk about everything and nothing. He tells me about growing up in this city, about his grandmother who raised him after his parents died in a car accident when he was 12, about his sister, Elena, who was 2 years younger and had their mother's smile, about how he built his empire from a single restaurant his grandmother left him, expanding through shrewd investments and connections he won't fully explain. I tell him about my childhood in foster care after my parents died, about bouncing between homes until I aged out of the system at 18, about putting myself through community college while working 3 jobs, about meeting Marcus during my sophomore year when I was too tired and lonely to recognize the warning signs, about Livy, my sister's daughter, who I met for the first time 2 years ago when my sister, who I hadn't seen since we were separated as children, tracked me down to tell me she had a daughter who was sick and she couldn't afford the treatments alone. Your sister, Dante says carefully one evening as we sit on the back patio, the gardens lit by soft landscape lighting. Where is she now? Dead. The word still tastes bitter. She overdosed 6 months after Livy's diagnosis. The stress, the medical bills, the fear she couldn't handle it. So now it's just me and Livy. Dante's hand finds mine, his fingers threading through my own. That's why you work 2 jobs. For her treatments, she's been in remission for 3 months, but the bills don't stop. And I can't. My voice breaks. She's 7 years old, and she's already lost her mother. I can't let her lose everything because I can't afford to keep her alive. You won't. Dante's voice is firm. I've already taken care of it. I turn to stare at him. What? Livy's medical bills. The hospital called last week about an outstanding balance of $73,000. I paid it. He holds up a hand before I can protest. And before you argue, I've also established a trust fund for her future treatments and education. She'll never want for medical care or opportunities, Ava. Never. Tears stream down my face. I can't accept that. It's too much. It's nothing. He cups my face gently, his thumb brushing away my tears. Do you know what I spent on my last car? $300,000. Do you know how much use I get out of it? Maybe 5 hours a week. His eyes are intense, sincere. But Livy? She's a child who deserves a chance at life. That's not charity, Ava. That's basic human decency. Why? I whisper for the 100th time. Why do you keep doing these things for me? Dante is quiet for a long moment, his thumb still stroking my cheek. Then he says, because somewhere along the way, you stopped being someone I was protecting and became someone He stops, seems to reconsider. Someone I care about very deeply. care about. The words are careful, controlled, but I see something deeper in his eyes. Something that matches the feeling growing in my own chest, the one I've been trying to ignore because it's too fast, too intense, too dangerous. I'm falling in love with Dante Russo. The realization should terrify me. Instead, it feels inevitable, like gravity pulling me toward him. Dante. I start, but he shakes his head. You don't have to say anything. I know this situation is complicated. I know you're still recovering from Marcus, still processing everything that's happened. He stands, offers me his hand. Come on. There's something I want to show you. He leads me through the house to a room I haven't explored yet. A library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, leather chairs, and a massive window overlooking the gardens. On one wall hangs a portrait of a young woman with dark hair and Dante's eyes. Elena, I say softly. Yes. He stands in front of the portrait, his expression unreadable. She was 23 when she died. Her boyfriend Carlos put her in the hospital 4 times before the final time. Each time, she told the doctors she'd fallen, walked into a door, slipped on ice. His jaw tightens. I was building my business, too focused on expanding to pay attention. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. That's not your fault, isn't it? He turns to me, and for the first time, I see genuine vulnerability in his eyes. I had all the resources in the world to help her. I could have protected her, gotten her away from him. But I was too busy, too distracted by my own ambitions. He takes a shaky breath. She called me the night she died. Left a voicemail asking me to come get her, saying she was finally ready to leave Carlos. I was in a meeting. I didn't check my phone until 3 hours later. Dante. By the time I got there, he'd already beaten her to death. She was lying on the floor of their apartment, and his voice breaks. I held her while she died, and I promised her that I would never let it happen again. That I would protect every woman I could from men like Carlos, like Marcus. I close the distance between us, wrapping my arms around him. He's rigid at first, then slowly relaxes, his arms coming around me, holding me like I'm something precious. You've kept that promise, I whisper against his chest. You saved me. You're still saving me. I need you to understand something, Ava. He pulls back enough to look into my eyes. What I feel for you, it started as an echo of Elena, a chance to do what I couldn't do for her, but it's become so much more than that. His hand cups my face, his thumb tracing the faint scar from the knife wound. When I look at you now, I don't see her. I see you, your strength, your resilience, your kindness, despite everything you've survived. And the door to the library crashes open. Marco stands there, his face grim. Boss, we have a problem. Marcus is back. The warmth drains from the room instantly. Dante's expression shudders, becomes the cold, dangerous man. I glimpse the night he broke Marcus's arm. I thought you handled that, Dante says, his voice lethal. We did. He left the city, went to Chicago like we told him. Marco's jaw tightens. But he's back. And he brought friends, serious friends. Show me. Marco pulls out a tablet, shows us surveillance footage from the front gate. Marcus stands there with at least a dozen men, all armed, all looking like they know how to use their weapons. He's allied himself with the Cortez family, Marco explains. Promised them a cut of your territory if they help him get to Ava. My blood runs cold. The Cortez family? Rival organization, Dante says grimly. They've been looking for a way to move into my territory for years. Marcus just gave them the excuse they needed. He looks at me, and something soft enters his hard expression. This isn't your fault, Ava. Marcus is just the catalyst. This confrontation was always coming. What do? I ask, trying to keep the fear out of my voice. We end this. Dante turns to Marco. Get everyone here. Full security detail. I want every entrance covered, every weapon ready. He pauses. And call Vincent. Tell him it's time to call in that favor. Marco nods and disappears. Dante takes my hand, leads me quickly through the house to what appears to be a panic room hidden behind a bookshelf in his study. Inside is sophisticated security equipment, weapons, supplies. You're going to stay here, he says firmly. The door is reinforced steel. No one's getting through it. If something happens to me, don't. I cut him off, gripping his shirt. Don't you dare talk like that. His hands frame my face and he kisses me. Not gentle like before, but desperate, consuming, like he's trying to memorize the taste of me. When he pulls back, his eyes are blazing. I will come back to you, he says fiercely. I promise, Ava. I will end this, and I will come back to you. Dante, stay here. No matter what you hear, no matter what happens, you stay in this room until I come for you personally. Do you understand? I nod, tears streaming down my face. He kisses me once more, then he's gone, the heavy door sliding shut with a definitive thud. I sink onto the bench inside, my heart hammering. Through the security monitors, I can see what's happening outside. Dante's men are taking positions throughout the house and grounds. At least 30 of them, all armed, all moving with military precision. At the front gate, Marcus and the Cortez family wait. I recognize Marcus immediately, and beside him stands a man in an expensive suit who must be their leader. They're talking, negotiating terms perhaps, or issuing final warnings. Then everything explodes into chaos. The Cortez family attacks first, using bolt cutters on the gate. Gunfire erupts immediately, Dante's men returning fire from defensive positions. I watch through the monitors, my hands pressed against my mouth to keep from screaming. Marcus isn't involved in the shooting. He's making his way around the side of the property with 3 other men, looking for another way in, looking for me. I grab the radio Dante left, press the button. Marcus is coming around the east side. He's got 3 men with him. Marco's voice crackles back immediately. Copy that. Sending reinforcements. Through the monitor, I watch Marco and 4 others intercept Marcus. There's a brief, brutal fight, and 2 of Marcus's men go down. But Marcus gets through, slipping into the house through a side entrance I didn't even know existed. He's inside. My heart races as I watch him on the interior cameras, moving through the house with the confidence of someone who's studied the layout. He's heading toward the study, toward me. I look around the panic room for a weapon. There's a gun mounted on the wall. Dante probably put it there for exactly this scenario. I've never fired a gun in my life, but I take it down anyway, checking that it's loaded like I've seen in movies. The monitor shows Marcus reaching the study. He looks around, his eyes landing on the bookshelf that hides the panic room entrance. A slow smile spreads across his face. I know you're in there, baby, he calls out, his voice carrying through the walls. That boyfriend of yours might have fancy security, but he's got one weakness. He presses something against the wall. An explosive, I realize with horror. He cares too much about you. The explosion rocks the room. The door holds, but cracks appear in the reinforced wall beside it. Marcus's face appears in one of the gaps, his expression triumphant. There you are. Come on out, Ava. Let's finish what we started. I raise the gun with shaking hands. Stay back, Marcus. I'll shoot. He laughs. You don't have it in you, baby. You're too soft, too weak. That's why you need men like me. Men who aren't afraid to do what needs to be done. He reaches through the gap, trying to manually work the door mechanism. I squeeze the trigger. The gun's recoil nearly knocks me over, and the sound in the enclosed space is deafening. But the bullet hits Marcus's hand, and he jerks back with a scream of pain and rage. You bitch! You actually shot me! I'll do it again, I say, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. Get away from that door, Marcus. This is over. It's not over until I say it's over. He's fumbling with something, another explosive, probably. If I can't have you, no one can. But then Dante appears behind him, moving like a shadow. He grabs Marcus by the throat, slams him against the wall hard enough to crack the plaster. Wrong answer, Dante says coldly. What happens next? I watch through the gap in the wall. Dante doesn't kill Marcus quickly. He doesn't show mercy. Every broken bone, every strike, is calculated, controlled, and utterly merciless. This is the dangerous man I've only glimpsed before, the one who built an empire through violence and fear. When it's over, Marcus is barely conscious, groaning on the floor. Dante stands over him, not even breathing hard, his knuckles bloody. Marco, he calls calmly. Clean this up. Make sure he understands what happens if he ever comes back. Then he's opening the panic room door, and I'm in his arms. The gun clattering to the floor as I hold on to him like he's the only solid thing in a world that's spinning out of control. It's over, he murmurs against my hair. It's over, Ava. You're safe. The Cortez family, dealt with. Vincent brought reinforcements. He pulls back enough to look at me, his hands framing my face. You shot him. I didn't know if I could, but when he tried to get through the door, I start to shake, the adrenaline draining away and leaving me hollow. You did what you had to do. That took incredible courage, Ava. His lips brush my forehead. My strong, brave girl. The possessive term should bother me. Instead, it makes me feel safe, cherished, claimed in the best possible way. What happens now? I whisper. Dante's expression becomes serious. Now you have a choice to make. Marcus won't come back, but my world, it's always going to be like this. Dangerous, complicated, full of violence and threat. His eyes search mine. I can set you up somewhere safe, somewhere far from here, with enough money to never worry about anything again. You can have a normal life, Ava, the one you deserve. Or you stay with me. You accept this life, this danger, knowing that I'll do everything in my power to protect you, but that I can't guarantee your safety. That there will always be men like Marcus, families like the Cortez trying to use you to get to me. His voice drops. Because, make no mistake, Ava, if you stay, you're mine. Not as property, not as possession, but as my partner, my equal. The woman I will protect with my life and love with everything I am. Love. The word hangs in the air between us, heavy and precious. You love me? I whisper, desperately, completely. In ways that terrify me, he brushes a strand of hair from my face. I didn't plan for this, Ava. You were supposed to be someone I protected, nothing more. But you became everything, and now I can't imagine my life without you in it. Tears stream down my face as I stand on my toes, pressing my lips to his. The kiss is different from before, deeper, more certain, full of promise and commitment, and the weight of choosing each other despite all the reasons we shouldn't. I choose you, I say against his lips. I choose this life, this danger, this beautiful, terrifying thing between us. I choose you, Dante. His arms tighten around me, lifting me off my feet as he deepens the kiss. When we finally break apart, both breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. You're sure? Because once you say yes, I'm never letting you go. I'm sure. I cup his face, my thumb tracing the sharp line of his jaw. I love you, Dante Russo. With all my broken pieces and survival instincts and trauma. I love you, he says fiercely. And I will spend the rest of my life earning that love, protecting it, honoring it. 6 months later, Livy runs through the gardens, her laughter echoing off the stone walls. Her hair has grown back, thick and dark like her mother's, and the color has returned to her cheeks. She's healthy, vibrant, completely unaware that the man playing hide-and-seek with her is one of the most dangerous men in the city. I watch from the patio as Dante pretends not to see her hiding behind a rosebush, his expression so soft it makes my heart ache. He's incredible with her, patient, playful, protective in the best possible way. Found you, he declares, scooping her up and spinning her around. Her giggles fill the air. Again! Play again, Uncle Dante. Uncle Dante. The title makes me smile every time. Rosa appears beside me with tea. He's good with children, she observes. He'll be a wonderful father someday. I touch my stomach unconsciously. The secret I've been keeping for 2 weeks now suddenly feeling too big to contain. Dante and I haven't talked about children yet. We've been too focused on integrating our lives, on him teaching me the business so I can be a true partner rather than just protected. But seeing him with Livy, seeing the gentle patience and fierce love he shows her, I want this. I want our future. I want everything. Dante must sense my gaze because he looks up, his expression transforming when he sees me. He says something to Livy, who runs off to explore the koi pond under Marco's watchful eye, and then he's crossing the lawn to me. Hey, he says, pulling me close. What's that look for? What look? The one that says you have something on your mind. His hand cups my cheek. Talk to me, beautiful. I take a deep breath, gathering courage. I'm pregnant. Dante freezes, his eyes widen, drop to my stomach, then back to my face. We're... Yes. About 8 weeks. I watch his face carefully, trying to read his reaction. I know we haven't talked about this, and if you're not ready... He kisses me, cutting off my worried rambling. When he pulls back, there are tears in his eyes. Not ready? Ava, He drops to his knees, his hands on my waist, his forehead pressed to my stomach. A baby, our baby. You're happy? Relief floods through me. Happy doesn't even begin to cover it. He looks up at me, his expression radiant. You've given me everything, Ava. A reason to be better, a family, hope for a future I never thought I'd have. And now, his hands blaze across my stomach. Now you're giving me this. The greatest gift imaginable. I sink down onto the grass beside him, and he pulls me into his arms. Livy's laughter drifts across the garden. Rosa hums in the kitchen. Marco and the other guards patrol the perimeter, keeping us safe from the dangers that still exist in Dante's world. Are you scared? Dante asks quietly. Terrified, I admit, but also excited, also happy. Also, I look into his eyes, these dark eyes I've come to love so much. Also certain that we can do this. Together. Together. He agrees, sealing the promise with a kiss. That night, after Livy is tucked into bed in her room down the hall, the one Dante had Rosa decorate with princess murals and more toys than any child could need, we lie in our bed, wrapped around each other. Do you ever regret it? Dante asks in the darkness. Choosing this life? Choosing me? I think about my old apartment, my 2 jobs, the constant fear of Marcus finding me. I think about living paycheck to paycheck, about the bone-deep exhaustion that was my constant companion. Then I think about this, the safety, the love, the future growing inside me. The man who loves me with a fierce protectiveness that never crosses into control, who treats me as an equal partner in his business and his life, who gave my niece a family and a future. Never, I say firmly, not for a single second. His arms tighten around me. I still can't believe you're mine. I'm not yours, I correct gently. We're each other's. That's different. Yes, he agrees, pressing a kiss to my temple. That's better. In the darkness, I trace patterns on his chest, feeling his heartbeat under my palm. Dante? Thank you for protecting me that night. For seeing me when I felt invisible. For choosing to help when you had no reason to. I had every reason, he says, turning to face me. Even in the dim light, his eyes are intense. From the moment I saw you, something in me recognized something in you. 2 broken people who deserved a chance to be whole. His hand finds mine, threading our fingers together. You saved me as much as I saved. You, Ava, maybe more. I kiss him then, pouring all my love and gratitude and hope into it. When we break apart, both breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. Thank you, he whispers. For what? For giving me a second chance. For choosing me despite everything you know about my world. For carrying our child. His hand moves to my stomach again, protective and tender. For loving me when I didn't think I deserved to be loved. You do deserve it, I say fiercely. You deserve all of it, Dante. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know it. The rest of our lives, he corrects, and I hear the smile in his voice. The rest of our lives, I agree. As I drift off to sleep in his arms, I think about that night in Murphy's bar. How terrified I was when Derek grabbed my wrist. How certain I was that my life was spiraling beyond my control. I couldn't have known then that the dangerous man who intervened wasn't a threat but a salvation. That his protection would transform into partnership, and partnership into love. I couldn't have known that defending him, or rather, accepting his defense of me, would change everything. But here I am, 6 months later, in a life I never could have imagined. Safe, loved, building a family with a man who would burn the world down to keep me protected, and I've never been happier. 2 years later, epilogue. The nursery is painted soft yellow, with white furniture and a mobile of stars hanging over the crib. Dante rocks our daughter, Isabella Elena Russo, while I watch from the doorway. She's 3 months old, with her father's dark hair and my hazel eyes, and she has completely captured both of our hearts. She's finally asleep, Dante whispers, carefully placing her in the crib. We stand together, watching her chest rise and fall with tiny breaths. She has your stubbornness, I murmur. Fought sleep for an hour. She has your determination, he counters, sliding his arm around my waist. She knew what she wanted and refused to give up. From down the hall, I hear Livy practicing piano. She's 10 now, healthy and thriving, talking about becoming a doctor when she grows up. Dante's already established a scholarship fund in her name for other children with cancer. My work phone buzzes with a message from Patricia at Giovanni's since Dante bought the restaurant 6 months ago and made me part owner. She's been surprisingly deferential. The business is thriving, and we're opening a second location next month. You know what I realized today? Dante says, still watching Isabella sleep. What? 2 years ago, I was alone in a big house, building an empire but with no one to share it with. No real purpose beyond accumulating power and money. He turns to face me, his hand cupping my cheek. And now I have everything. A wife I worship, 2 daughters who give my life meaning. A reason to build something that lasts beyond me. You have more than that, I say, covering his hand with mine. You have redemption. You've used your power to help people, the women's shelter you funded, the scholarship programs, the community center. Elena would be proud. His eyes shimmer with emotion. You think so? I know so. I lean into him, breathing in his familiar scent. You've become the man she believed you could be. The man I knew you were all along. We stand there for a long moment, wrapped around each other, watching our daughter sleep. Outside, Marco does his rounds, keeping us safe. Rosa is in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Livy's piano practice fills the house with music. This is our life now. Built from violence and fear, forged in danger and protection, transformed into love and family and hope. I love you, Dante whispers into my hair. I love you too, I whisper back. Thank you for that night at Murphy's. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for letting yourself be seen. For trusting me. For giving me this life. He presses a kiss to my forehead. For giving me everything. As we leave the nursery, Isabella sleeping peacefully, Livy's piano music drifting through the halls, I think about how a single moment can change everything. How a phone call in Italian answered in front of the wrong or right man can lead to this. To safety, to love, to home. And I silently thank whatever force brought Dante Russo into my life that night. This dangerous, gentle, fiercely protective man who saw past my fear to the strength underneath. Who loved me when I couldn't love myself. Who gave me a family, a future, and a love story I never dared dream possible. This is our happily ever after, built not in spite of the darkness, but because we faced it together and chose each other anyway, and I wouldn't change a single moment. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.